Do you know that 25% of internet use is for pornography? And do you know that compulsive porn can be devastating to a married relationship?
Lots of people think this isn't a big issue. Yet, would you like to know why it is so unhealthy? Today, we're going to help you understand why porn can be an unhealthy choice.
So stay with us to the end, and we will also show you how to help you let go of this unhealthy behavior. So as we get started, what is porn addiction? Well, pornography is printed or visual material containing explicit descriptions or displays of sexual organs or activities. It's intended to stimulate erotic rather than aesthetic or beauty or emotional feelings.
Which doesn't make sense to the person that's not watching it.
Yes.
Because they feel not pretty when their mate is doing that.
You're talking about the spouse.
Yeah, the spouse. Because it's not about being beautiful. It's not about the emotional connection. But sex is such about aesthetics and emotional feeling.
Right.
It's all about the erotic. But the opposite person is trying to compete with that. And that's very difficult. And
so
for
the other
man,
person's about emotional connection.
Yes.
It's about creating beauty.
Yeah,
so I'm
trying to
stimulating.
feel beautiful. And
Where the person that's watching pornography
Right.
is looking for the erotic dopamine hit. Which
right,
is,
the dopamine hit, not so much the sexual hit.
Yes.
But because it's using the sexual thing, it makes the other person feel unbeautiful, unwanted, undesired.
So porn addiction is considered a behavioral addiction. And that is characterized by an ever-growing compulsion to view pornographic content or material and resulting in multiple areas of negative consequences.
A lot of negative consequences.
So what makes it an addiction is that you have negative consequences
Right.
associated with it, like relationship consequences, work consequences, financial.
mental health, physical health, which is a big deal for men that they don't realize what's happening, and or just functioning in your daily life
Yes.
because it'll start talking to you.
Some common negative consequences are significant increase in erectile dysfunction.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in
Yeah.
a minute. It doubles the chances of divorce.
And you already have it against you. You know how hard it is to communicate and all of that, and kids and money and in-laws, all the things that come with marriage, that you have issues that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
Where we sending our kids to school. Now this, you put this into the mix of a marriage and it doubles your chance to get a divorce. That's huge.
Porn addiction increases shame and also decreases your self-esteem. It also contributes to missing deadlines, responsibilities. So much time gets consumed by this that you often neglect the things that are very important to you, which is decreasing functioning at work. These are a few of the many negative consequences associated with porn addiction. So as we talk about addiction, is a difference between, okay, a person views porn, you know, we can debate whether that's good or not good. Personally, I think it's unhealthy. But it's another thing when it gets to the realm of addiction and you start
Right.
having all these negative consequences
Exactly.
connected to
And
it.
you know, our son, if there is nudity on the TV, for him, that's pornography.
Yeah.
If you're watching Yellowstone or anything like that, any show, for him it's he's 23. Or if you say it's art, he says it's porn, you know. So for him, that could bring him to a place he understands as a young man that that's unhealthy.
Yeah, there's different
Right.
types of stimulation, right?
That's right.
When we say erotic stimulation, we're talking about being turned on by a naked body. It's an object, but the object is actually to be sexually stimulated. That's very different than stimulated by looking at something beautiful and you're just enjoying that. Or it's different from even a love connection between two people. Now, I know there's some overlap, but what porn does is it sort of pulls out the
Yeah.
erotic by itself and separates it from the love aspect, the beauty aspect.
Right.
There's a feeling of dirty or shame with it because there's something in our spirit that knows it's inappropriate.
Right, because there's no connection.
There's no connection.
I mean, it's kind of like the difference between having a drink and being an alcoholic. I mean, if you're having a drink with your friends, it's really about your friends and you're hanging out with your friends. Celebrating something, but we're together.
Yeah.
Where if I'm alcoholic, I'm out for the drink and whoever's out there may be my friend. You know, there's not really a connection, but everybody at the bar knows my name. You know, it's like the porn people know my account number, you know?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that leads us to the next question is, how much porn is being viewed today? Because, you know, the level of the problem is directly proportionate to how many people are engaging in it, right? And so porn is really a major health concern. Get this, 25% of all search queries on the internet are for porn. 1 out of 4 search queries, or an estimated 68 million searches for porn a day.
And you can't be lying about that. I mean,
no, because they got the statistics.
You're dealing with, you know, statistics.
It's not an estimate.
No, this is not an estimate. This is not a pretend. This is not fake news. This is 68 million searches in one day.
Yeah.
And one day. I mean, I'm happy when we get 200 hits. We're like, whoa, we got 200 hits. We're talking about 68 million.
Yeah.
Man, if we had 68 million watching this, how many people could get some help?
That's true.
And how many marriages could be saved? And families.
And about 35% of all internet downloads are for porn, and which was kind of an interesting statistic. It's known that about 1/3 of porn that's watched today is women. It's mostly associated with guys, right?
Well, it used to be.
It used to be.
Well, because, you know, the magazines a long time ago were towards the men. Playboy and Hustler or whatever. And so with the internet, because it could be, no one sees it coming through the mail.
This is easier to have more privacy.
Yes.
So after Google, YouTube, and Facebook, porn ranks as the highest internet search term with over 2.8 billion searches per year.
That's a billion people.
Yeah.
Now we're not talking the millions no more. We're in the billions.
On Pornhub, the world's largest porn website alone, well over 90 billion videos are viewed daily by more than 64 million visitors, and 26% of these are female.
That's just sad.
It is.
Because it creates such loneliness.
Yeah.
Like it ain't touching you, it ain't talking to you, it doesn't know your name. I mean, you can say it knows your name, but it doesn't know your name. It doesn't know your soul, it doesn't know your spirit, it doesn't know who you are.
Yes.
That's very lonely.
Yeah, one survey reported that more than 90% of young men reported watching porn videos with some regularity, particularly in the United States. And we really want you to hear our heart today. It's not to judge, to point out people.
No.
But, you know, we're really concerned that this is a major health issue. It's impacting many, many people in a negative way. And we want to help people out of a cycle that oftentimes they feel stuck in.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that one, you get from the religious side, you know, they judge you. Then you get your friend's side that says what? It's no big deal. It's just porn. You're on the internet. You're not hurting nobody. And then you have your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend that you know this ain't right. Internally, it's just like when I was a drug addict, active using. I mean, I knew what I was doing wasn't right. I didn't know how to get out of it. Okay? I didn't have the solution.
Right.
But I was never in denial that there was a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I happened to be the one that would say, I got a problem. You know, I didn't know what to do about it. But some people say, no, I don't have a problem. But internally, when you go to bed at night, you know you got a problem.
Yeah. Next question is, how does porn affect the brain? It's important to understand this so you understand the addictive part of it. But like all mood-altering substances, such as cocaine, porn creates a dopamine rush. Dopamine is...
Yeah, explain what that means, because not everybody
dopamine is that chemical in the brain that creates...
That's already there.
It creates euphoria.
Right.
And it decreases pain.
Okay, so everybody wants that.
Absolutely. And when you get stimulated in certain ways, it increases the dopamine levels.
Euphoria?
Euphoria.
Yeah, that's what they
the
call
happy feeling.
like a runner's high. I never had that, by the way. Dopamine in that level is like, who wouldn't want that, right? Just like a kid. They see their dad when they come home and they're like, oh, and they don't feel, sad. They just feel more happy. So it's a natural thing that can happen. But the problem becomes when there's things that are unnatural that you can make it happen.
Yes.
In an addictive modality, like video poker, boom, 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 boom.
So that's a dopamine rush,
Yeah,
and
that's good.
And the pictures of brains of someone on cocaine, and they take pictures of brains of someone engaging in pornography. The pictures are the same.
Yeah.
So when porn is engaged on a regular basis, it takes actually more novel type encounters to create the same dopamine rush.
Exactly.
So that means that what used to stimulate, which is sort of a vanilla porn, needs to get a little more
that's a good
deviant or a little more
you gotta add some
out there in order to get the same rush.
Right. So you have your vanilla ice cream, and now we got to add some strawberries.
Right.
Then sooner or later we got to add some blueberries.
Because if you don't, your tolerance levels go down.
Your tolerance levels goes down. And when your tolerance level goes down, you need more and more and more and more and more. To now, you're doing stuff that you wish you never did.
Right. So it's progressive in order to keep the same hit. But the other thing that happens when you engage in porn on a regular basis, it creates neural pathways in your brain like other addictions.
Yeah.
In other words, you start to pursue these dopamine peaks.
Yeah. And they're like roads in your brain, and it makes an indention.
Yes.
So every time you do it, this indention gets stronger and
your brain gets used to that indention.
Yes, indention.
And when you take that indention away, then your brain starves, and that's when you go into withdrawal.
Exactly.
Because it wants to go down the road because it wants to feel happy.
Exactly. And the reason why it's always a problem is because this demarcation mark, even though you're not feeding it anymore and it's not getting larger, it's still there.
It's still there.
That's the part that people don't understand. Well, I'm not doing it anymore, but I still want to. Well, why would you want to? You have all of this and all of this and all of this. Because the mark in the brain is still the mark. It's kind of like you break your arm, you have this huge scar right here. And it's tender, and it's tender, and it's tender. The scar doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
And the damage within is still there. And you have to, be gentle.
But you take care of it, and it starts to heal, and it starts to go away to some extent.
That's right. But it's always still there.
Yes.
So you got to be awake to it.
So if you engage in porn on a frequent basis, and you attempt to stop, you will experience severe dopamine deficit.
Exactly.
Which we call acute withdrawal syndrome is the clinical term.
Right.
But it basically means that your body has gotten used to this regular dopamine hit that's associated with the looking at porn. You take that away, and all of a sudden it's like, what are you doing? I no longer have this happy chemical getting released in my brain. Exactly. Therefore, I start getting anxious and depressed, and I start yearning to go back. And that's when you're stuck in an addictive cycle. And it's not a substance, it's a behavior. So what are some common negative consequences associated with porn? Oftentimes, it's thought of as not a big deal. But we're going to tell you some negative consequences. Porn is connected to increasing shame and creating greater isolation in relationships. Look, how do you know that there's a lot of shame involved with it? Go to a dinner party, they serving alcohol, and you say, well, I'm not drinking anymore. I drank a little too much. And people say, oh, okay, I respect that, this and that. There might be a little shame connected to it, but not much. Go to a dinner party and announce that you're no longer looking at porn anymore.
Right.
Every addiction has a certain level of shame, but porn, sex addiction has an extra. It's probably the most shame connected to any type of addiction. And so that needs to be dealt with, but that's a negative consequence.
Yeah.
Another one is porn begins to remove you from the reality of physical sensations, and it becomes more fantasy, which leads to what we call desensitization. And desensitization to real life interaction leads to significant increase in erectile dysfunction.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. So what that means is
it's
that
a big deal for
you
both
start
parties.
learning to get stimulated through your fantasy. You get desensitized to your touch, so that when you engage with your partner in that way, you're desensitized, and then it's a lot harder to be stimulated or have erection for the male.
Or to be stimulated for the female.
For the female.
It's both ways. Let's just say you're looking at this to be stimulated, to be with your partner, okay? Let's just go there. That's one of your reasons. Well, what it does is it does the exact opposite. So now you're having a hard time and you're not enjoying it and you're not getting nothing from it that it's supposed to do. So you're not receiving no pleasure from it.
Yeah.
And in that process, you may not even be able to do it.
Right.
So every time you watch porn, you're putting yourself in a position, your whole life could be on the screen.
Yeah.
And no one touching you and you not receiving any pleasure.
Yeah.
That's your God-given gift.
30 to 40% of the men who engage in porn over 40 minutes a day report having erectile dysfunction issues, as compared to 10% who engage in less than 30 minutes. So it does have an impact. There's also, like in marriage, one of the reasons why personally I'm against porn, I want you to be the only one that I see. I mean, I don't want to be thinking about some 22-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm with you.
And
I want to see that.
I'm going to be 62 soon.
Like, you're the one and only who's beautiful to me, right? So
honey.
I don't want that to be ruined, right? So,
I don't want it to be ruined either.
another negative consequence of porn is porn doubles the chances of divorce because it increases isolation, increases secrecy, increases insecurity in the relationship, rejection, decrease in sexual activity, and sometimes leads to infidelity.
Yeah, it doesn't always lead to infidelity, but you're really not faithful in your relationship with your partner.
Yeah.
Because you're involved with the screen for your dopamine and pleasure.
Porn often decreases work production and quality work time.
Yeah. Because a lot of people do it at work because a lot of people work on their computers now.
And get fired.
Yeah, you get fired.
That's a negative consequence.
That's a huge one.
Porn often creates an obsession internally being consumed by intrusive thoughts and desires. It takes a lot of time in your head when you're looking at porn regularly that you may be sitting and having coffee with a friend and you're thinking about when's the next time I can get to my computer, or you're spending time with your child and you're hurrying up so you can get to you. So there's these subtle consequences of being consumed by these thoughts, and it's also connected to an increase in anxiety, depression, and social isolation.
Yeah, one of the things I want to say about this, like the reason why I chose to break free from the addictions that I've had to deal with is that once I really learned that I was being controlled, I don't like to be controlled. I don't know about you, but I don't like to be controlled. But once I realized I was being controlled, it was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes for the rest of my life to not be controlled.
That's good.
So if you're sitting there with your child, it's his little birthday and he's 4 years old and it's just, he's the happiest in his whole little life right now.
Yeah.
And your wife is adorable and beautiful and of course not perfect, neither are you. And all you can think about is something is pulling your shirt saying, hey, 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 we got to go watch that new video. We got to go watch that new video. We got to go watch that new video.
Yeah.
And your kid's going, hey, daddy, hey, daddy, hey, daddy. We got to go watch that new video. We got to go watch that new video. And you're thinking, God, I wish these people would leave from this party. I've got to hurry up and clean up. I got to do all this. And you're not even happy because you've missed the whole party.
Yeah.
You've missed your 4-year-old. So
That's a subtle but so real consequence.
it's a huge consequence.
Well, let's look
Because you're never present.
Yeah.
Not never, but you're not present.
Less present. You're more checked out.
You're more checked out. And nobody does this
And
on purpose.
Don't think your partner's not picking up on that.
Yeah, because she's going to think you're having an affair with a
he.
human being. Or he's going to think you're having an affair. Right. It's both ways. It's both ways. I'm not picking on men anymore, you know. But I just want to say that, you know, I have a lot of compassion for people that are suffering and being controlled and being, you know, in their minds, just it's telling them, come on, come on, come on, come on. I mean, I lived that way for a year, so.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the 5 steps to break free from porn. Look, if you're struggling with this, you can break free.
Yes, you can.
And we want to help you do that.
Yes.
We want to see you experience the fullness of relationships, of work, of being the person that you're called to be. So let's look at these 5 steps. Number 1, you need to break the silence and start talking about it, either to a trusted friend, perhaps a counselor, pastor, another caring individual. You need to break the shame by talking about it and letting trusted people know that this is a struggle. Number 2, you need to put limits on accessibility. You can put parental controls on your phone. There's a wonderful app called Covenant Eyes when I deal with married couples and one person is unfaithful with looking at porn a lot and they agree that they want to stop. Well, there's an app that actually allows the other person to know what sites that this person is visiting, and it creates accountability. Clean your computer from all downloads of porn. So put limits on accessibility.
Yeah.
Number 3, get involved with an accountability group. It could be a 12-step group. It could be celebration, recovery. It could be a close group of friends.
Right.
It could be some type of group that's going to hold you accountable. Get connected with them and use that as your support network. Look, if you create external accountability, your follow-through goes up significantly. Mm-hmm. I could say, I want to invite my friend to go to coffee. I may or may not follow through on that. But if I talk to my friend and say, look, next week, how about we go to coffee and I'll give you a call? If I do that, my chances of follow through go up significantly,
right,
because I created external accountability.
Yeah, it's safety for yourself.
Yeah, number 4, seek treatment if needed. You can see a professional counselor like myself, my wife. You can see an addiction program, an addiction counselor, some other type of treatment program. There's things around that are helping people break free, and allow yourself to access professional help with that. And number 5, if you want to begin your recovery process today, we invite you to watch this next video on the recovery process from any addiction that we had done. And we will
see you in the next video.
God bless.
God bless.